The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for centuries. Its chambers, floating in the vast expanse above the planet Earthra, were a place of tradition, power, and endless debate. Leaders of dozens of alien civilizations gathered there, each species proud of its history and technology. They spoke in tones of authority, confident in their abilities. For them, the universe was orderly, predictable, and most importantly, dominated by the Council itself. And yet none of them had ever seen anything like the humans. It began quietly. Small observation vessels, barely larger than transport ships, drifted across Council space. They appeared without warning, moving with perfect precision, slipping through scanners and patrols as if the galaxies themselves allowed them passage. For the Council, it was initially curious but unimportant. Humanity had never attended Council meetings before, nor had they been noted as a major power in the galaxy. The assumption was simple. Humans were explorers, perhaps traders, maybe scientists, but certainly not a threat. Admiral Vorin, a member of the Arithian delegation, shook his tentacled head as he looked at the human craft on his display. "I have studied these readings carefully," he said. His voice resonated through the Council chamber, a low hum of authority. "There is nothing advanced here. Their energy signatures are small. Their ships are primitive. They will not challenge us." Other members murmured their agreement. The Zelarians, a crystalline race, tapped their facets thoughtfully. "Perhaps they are naive," one of them said. "Explorers, nothing more." Yet even as these words were spoken, the humans continued their silent march across the stars. Unlike other species that relied on grand displays of power, they did not boast. Their ships were black, almost liquid in appearance, with faint veins of glowing energy running along their hulls. They moved smoothly, with a grace that no Council fleet could match. In the heart of the human command center, aboard the lead vessel named Horizon's Edge, Commander Elias Kane observed the galaxy ahead with calm, unwavering eyes. Unlike the Council members, he did not feel the need to impress or dominate. His people had built these ships, mastered their technology, and trained for generations to use them not recklessly but wisely. "Status report," he said quietly to his first officer, Lieutenant Mara Chen. "All ships are in formation, Commander. Shields are at optimal levels." "Dark matter engines are stable," she replied, her voice steady. Kane nodded. "Maintain silence. Let them come to their own conclusions." It was a strategy that confused and unnerved many Council observers. When the humans finally entered the outer perimeter of Earthra, the Council's largest sector, their ships did not signal their presence. They did not send messages. They simply appeared in perfect formation, floating above the capital world like an unspoken challenge. Panic slowly crept through the Council chambers. Members whispered urgently, sending messages to their fleets and advisors. "What are their intentions?" they asked. "Why have they come without notice?" Vorin's tone grew sharper. "It is disrespectful. Protocol demands they identify themselves before entering Council space. This is an affront." Yet the humans did nothing. They hovered silently, engines barely visible, shimmering with that strange black glow that no one could explain. For days, the Council debated. Some argued for caution, urging diplomacy, while others called for a show of force. "We cannot let them remain here unchallenged," Vorin insisted. "Their technology may be hidden, but it is dangerous. We must act before they make their move." The humans aboard Horizon's Edge did not engage. They observed, recorded, and waited. It was as if the very calmness of their presence unsettled the Council more than any aggressive act could. Within the Council chambers, tensions rose. Species that prided themselves on intelligence and strategic thinking found themselves at a loss. The humans were unpredictable. They did not speak unless necessary, did not threaten, yet somehow communicated strength without effort. Ambassador Yara of the Lurathi, a species known for its cunning, leaned toward her neighbors. "I do not trust them," she whispered. They are too calm, too perfect. It is not natural. Her neighbor, a large, quadrupedal diplomat from the Vorlians, rumbled softly. Perhaps they are not what we expected. Perhaps they are stronger than any of us. And that quietly was the first crack in the council's certainty. The humans' silence was not ignorance, it was strategy. By refusing to explain themselves, they forced the council to confront the possibility that human technology and human resolve were unlike anything they had encountered. It was a subtle, yet powerful form of dominance, control without aggression. Inside the lead human ship, Kane reviewed the council's communications that had been intercepted. He was not hostile, but he understood the language of caution. They fear what they do not understand, he said to Mara, and rightfully so. But fear alone does not guide them toward wisdom, Mara nodded. Should we make contact, Commander? Kane considered. Not yet. Let them think. Let them debate. When we finally speak, they will understand that humanity does not bluff. Meanwhile, rumors spread across council space. Stories of the humans, black, shimmering vessels grew. Some said they were powered by antimatter. Others whispered about more exotic energies. The truth was even stranger. These ships harnessed dark matter, a force the council could study but had never mastered in practical technology. The council sent envoys, small fleets meant to intercept and identify the humans. Each attempt failed. The Horizon's Edge and its companion ships moved with a grace and speed that confounded their pursuers. No ship was destroyed, no shields pierced, yet every encounter ended with the humans slipping away, leaving their observers baffled. For the council, this was a nightmare. They had faced countless wars, rebellions, and crises over millennia, but never had a species arrived with such capability and restraint. The humans did not attack. They simply existed in a way that undermined centuries of complacency. In a special session, the council convened an emergency meeting. Members shouted over one another, their voices rising in frustration. "We cannot ignore them," Vorin declared. "They will become a threat if we allow them to remain unchecked." Yet other voices spoke with caution. "We do not know their intentions," argued one. "Perhaps they seek only observation. Perhaps we are overreacting." The debate raged, but the humans remained outside, silent and poised, their dark matter warships gleaming against the void like an ominous constellation. It was then that a young analyst, a human sympathizer who had worked with the council for decades, spoke quietly but firmly. "You do not understand them," she said. "Humanity does not boast because they do not need to. They are confident because they have earned it through knowledge, skill, and unity. Do not mistake silence for weakness." Her words lingered, but many dismissed them. Few could accept that humans might be operating on an entirely different level of thought and strategy. The days passed. The council attempted to establish communication, but every message went unanswered. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, an entire species refusing to respond to the authority of the council. Tensions rose. Some fleets were placed on alert, others plotted intercepts. Yet, in the human command center, Kane watched calmly. He knew the council would eventually come to understand the message his people carried. Humans were not here to play by old rules. They were here to show that humanity had advanced beyond expectations, and that strength without wisdom was useless. Finally, a decision was made. The council would summon human representatives for a formal meeting, expecting that they would arrive with humility or fear. What they did not know was that the humans had already prepared. Every dark matter warship was fully operational, every maneuver tested, and every officer ready. As the council sent its formal invitation, Kane's voice echoed in the command center. "Let them see us, but let them think they are in control. When they meet us, they will understand that humanity does not follow the rules of others. We create our own." Outside, the black warships hovered silently, a quiet testament to human innovation, courage, and restraint. For the first time in centuries, the council felt a ripple of uncertainty. And that was exactly what the humans intended. The council chamber buzzed with tension. Every seat was filled, every delegate alert, every sensor pointed toward the humans who had quietly positioned their fleet above Earthra. The alien leaders, who had once considered themselves the wisest and most powerful beings in the galaxy, now felt a sense of unease. The humans had arrived silently, calmly, and with purpose, and the council was forced to confront a reality they had not anticipated. Humans were unlike any species they had known. Admiral Voron's many eyes glared at the central display showing the human fleet. "Their technology is unusual," he admitted, his voice a mixture of anger and disbelief. "They are not responding to our communications. Their ships are black, dark matter. That is impossible for practical use." Ambassador Yara leaned forward, her crystalline form shimmering with tension. "Impossible or not, they are here. They are moving with perfect coordination, every ship in formation. No hesitation, no error. I have never seen anything like this." The human fleet was indeed remarkable. Each ship shimmered with an eerie black glow, veins of light twisting along the hulls like veins of some unknown energy. The council's scientists and engineers were fascinated, but fear began to creep into their minds. These vessels were not just advanced, they were unlike anything the galaxy had built, and more importantly, humanity had mastered their control. Inside the lead human ship, Horizon's Edge, Commander Elias Kane watched the council's responses with quiet satisfaction. He did not see them as enemies, but as observers who needed to understand humanity's capabilities. "Prepare for demonstration," he said softly. "Let them see what we have built, not to threaten, but to reveal the truth." Lieutenant Mara Chen nodded. "All systems are ready, Commander. Dark matter engines are stable, shields are at full capacity, weapons are calibrated but offline." Kane's lips curved in a faint smile. "Good. Let them learn that strength is not always shown in destruction." The human fleet began to move. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, the black warships maneuvered around the council's observation satellites. The ships twisted through space with precision, executing turns and maneuvers that seemed to defy conventional physics. Council scientists' monitors flashed warnings: unprecedented acceleration, impossible trajectory, spatial distortions detected. The council delegations gasped. Ships that should have taken hours to reposition were suddenly on the opposite side of the sector in minutes. Yet no weapons fired, no shields failed. The humans moved with such skill and control that it was as if the very laws of space bent to their will, but without breaking anything. Ambassador Yara's voice trembled. This is impossible. They are not attacking, yet they are showing us their power. Why would they do this? Voron growled. To remind us that we are no longer the only rulers of the stars. Their technology may not destroy us, but it makes everything we have built obsolete. Inside the human fleet, Kane monitored every council reaction. "They fear what they cannot control," he said. "Good. Let them learn the first lesson. Do not underestimate humans." Then the humans began a new demonstration. In the center of the council sector floated their oldest and largest battleships, ancient vessels the council had believed unassailable. With a series of maneuvers, the humans' dark matter warships threaded between the alien ships, slipping past shields and weapons without so much as a touch. Energy readings spiked, sensors went haywire, and the alien crews scrambled to adjust, but every attempt failed. The humans' mastery of space itself was absolute. Council members shouted in panic and confusion. "They move faster than physics allows. Their engines are bending space." A young Lorathi scientist spoke, almost in disbelief. They are using dark matter to manipulate their movement. This is not theoretical. They are doing it." Kane watched silently, knowing the council would eventually understand. "They are clever," he said to Mara. They think power comes from intimidation. Humans show that true power comes from knowledge, precision, and unity. The humans did not attack. They did not fire a single weapon. And yet, the message was undeniable. Humanity had the ability to overwhelm the largest fleets in the galaxy without shedding a drop of blood. The council panicked. Vorin slammed his clawed hand onto the table. We cannot allow them to remain. Send the fleets. Attack. Show them our strength. Other delegates argued, but the logic was shattered by the demonstration. Attacking now would be disastrous. Any fleet that tried to intercept the human ships would be outmaneuvered, possibly destroyed, and the political repercussions would be catastrophic. The council was trapped between pride and fear. At that moment, the humans sent a message, a single transmission, simple and calm. It appeared on every council display simultaneously. We seek peace. We will defend what is ours, but we do not seek to destroy without cause. Silence filled the chamber. Every delegate froze, trying to interpret the words. Some felt relief, others suspicion. The message carried no threat, yet it resonated with authority. Humans were not asking permission, nor were they issuing ultimatums. They were stating a fact. Humanity was capable, ready, and morally resolute. Ambassador Yara whispered, They do not fear us. They do not bow. They do not beg, they are confident, and they are right to be. Vorin's eyes narrowed. Confidence or arrogance, it does not matter. They are dangerous, too dangerous to ignore. Meanwhile, Kane observed the council's reactions. They see only what we show them, he said. Fear, uncertainty, and the realization that humans are not bound by their rules. That is enough for now. The human fleet continued their demonstration for days. They tested evasive maneuvers, communication jamming, and simulated attacks on virtual targets. Every action was precise, efficient, and controlled. The council tried to anticipate their moves, to study their patterns, but every attempt failed. Humans were unpredictable in the most disciplined way. They followed principles, not habits, and they adapted instantly to any challenge. The council began to change. Factions formed, some advocating for diplomacy, others for containment, and a few arguing for outright surrender to the humans, superior understanding of space and strategy. Ancient grudges and rivalries began to seem insignificant compared to the reality now in front of them. Humanity was an entirely new benchmark. One night, in a quiet corner of the chamber, a young Vorlian engineer whispered to his companion, If we cannot match their technology, perhaps we must learn their way of thinking. That is their true power. And that was exactly what the humans intended them to realize. Kane knew that technology alone would not earn humanity respect. Power without wisdom, strength without moral resolve, were meaningless. The demonstration was not meant to intimidate, it was meant to teach. To show that humans could achieve what others only dreamed of, and to set a new standard for the galaxy. Days turned into weeks. The Council finally sent envoys to meet the humans in orbit above Earthra. These envoys were cautious, armed with protocols, shields, and negotiations, but also curiosity. The meeting would be the first time any council member would interact directly with humanity. When the envoys arrived, Kane and his team greeted them calmly. No weapons were drawn. No threats were made. Humans stood tall, confident, and composed. The council delegates were shocked not by the humans' presence but by their demeanor. There was no arrogance, no fear, no false diplomacy. Humans simply were. "Welcome," Kane said, his voice steady and measured. "We understand your concern. We are not here to conquer. We are here to show that humanity has learned to master what others cannot. We hope this can lead to understanding." The council envoys struggled to find words. Everything they had assumed about dominance, intelligence, and power was being challenged in front of them. They had expected fear, arrogance, or submission. Instead, they were met with calm authority and undeniable skill. One of the older delegates, a Vorlian elder, finally spoke. We underestimated you, not just your ships, but your minds, your strategy, and your restraint. Kane nodded. We understand why you feel that way. Many species doubt us as you have. That is understandable. But doubt does not diminish our abilities. It only delays your understanding. The envoys were silent, reflecting on the implications. Humanity had revealed their strength without a single act of aggression. They had demonstrated mastery over dark matter, space, and strategy. And yet they offered cooperation, not conquest. The Council now faced a dilemma. They could attempt to challenge humans and risk destruction or humiliation, or they could learn from them and begin a new chapter in galactic history. For centuries, the Council had dictated the rules of power. Now they realized the rules had changed. As the humans prepared to depart, Kane addressed the Council envoys once more. Remember this: power without wisdom is dangerous. Wisdom without courage is wasted. Humanity seeks both, and we hope the galaxy will learn to value them as well. The human fleet then disappeared silently into the depths of space, leaving the Council to reflect, plan, and reconsider everything they thought they knew about power, strategy, and progress. For the first time in centuries, the Council felt uncertainty. And that uncertainty was the first step toward a new understanding, a recognition that humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as teachers, innovators, and a force the galaxy could not ignore. The humans had left, silently slipping beyond the known reaches of the Galactic Council's territory. Their fleet, a shimmering constellation of black and glowing ships, vanished as quietly as it had appeared. Yet their presence lingered, like a shadow over the Council chambers, a shadow of uncertainty, awe, and newfound respect. For centuries, the Council had prided itself on control. Every sector, every fleet, every technological advancement had been meticulously catalogued, studied, and monitored. The galaxy had been orderly under their rule, but humanity had arrived and shattered assumptions. Not with fire, not with war, but with ingenuity, restraint, and confidence. Admiral Voran slammed his clawed hand on the table, rattling sensors. We underestimated them, entirely. Their technology, their strategy, their ability to move through space, it is beyond anything we have faced. Ambassador Yara of the Lorathi, usually composed, shimmered nervously. It is not just technology, she said quietly. They think differently. They are united in a way that none of our species are. Every move is precise, deliberate. Every decision shows intelligence and wisdom beyond simple calculations. Other delegates murmured in agreement. The Council's long-standing confidence was fractured. For the first time, leaders realized that power was not measured solely by fleet size, weapons, or control over resources. There was a new factor: human ingenuity and moral clarity. Inside the human fleet, Commander Elias Kane observed from the bridge of Horizon's Edge. They had traveled beyond the Council's reach, yet the mission was far from complete. Humanity did not seek conquest. They sought recognition of their place in the galaxy, a place earned through ingenuity, skill, and ethical resolve. Lieutenant Mara Chen stood beside him, watching stars streak past as their dark matter engines propelled them forward. "Do you think they will learn?" she asked. Kane's eyes were steady. "They will. It may take time, but they have already begun to understand." Humanity shows not just power but choice, and choice is what sets us apart. Meanwhile, back at the Council, a series of emergency summits were convened. Delegates debated fiercely. Some, like Voran, wanted retaliation or containment. Others urged diplomacy, study, and cooperation. Many younger members began to question centuries of tradition, realizing that the galaxy would have to change to accommodate the new reality humanity represented. A young Vorlian engineer spoke boldly. "We cannot compete with humans if we rely on our old methods. We must understand their approach to innovation, their strategic thinking, and their unity. Only then can we survive as a council." The word spread quickly, igniting a slow transformation within the council. Ancient rivalries were set aside as species began to recognize that humanity had introduced a new standard, one not of fear, but of respect earned through skill, courage, and wisdom. For the humans, the lesson was simple. They did not seek to dominate. They sought to demonstrate what was possible. Every ship, every maneuver, every calculated decision had been a message. The galaxy could advance further if it embraced ingenuity, unity, and ethical use of power. Several months passed, and the Council sent envoys again, this time to open formal dialogue with humanity. This was unprecedented. Never before had the Council recognized a species so quickly after first contact, let alone offered a platform for cooperation. The human fleet met them at the edge of Council space. Unlike before, there was no display of power beyond what was necessary for travel and security. The humans simply stood ready, as equals, waiting for discussion. Commander Kane greeted the Council envoys with a calm nod. "You wish to understand humanity. You have observed our capabilities. Now you will understand our intentions. We seek partnership, exploration, and mutual advancement, not domination, not war." The envoys were silent. Every council member had expected humans to be aggressive or submissive. Neither was true. Humans were confident, ethical, and patient. They demonstrated that true strength lay not just in technology, but in character and unity. Ambassador Yara spoke first, her tone cautious but respectful. "We underestimated you. We assumed your silence and your appearance indicated weakness. Now we see that it is strength. You have taught us something we cannot ignore." Kane smiled faintly. "Strength without wisdom is empty. Power without purpose is meaningless. Humanity has learned that lesson, and we hope the galaxy will learn from it as well." Over the following weeks, humanity shared knowledge selectively. Not detailed schematics of their dark matter warships, but principles. The importance of collaboration, strategic thinking, ethical decision-making, and technological mastery combined with moral responsibility. They encouraged council species to innovate within these principles, to improve their own societies, fleets, and technology without resorting to aggression. The effect on the council was transformative. Fleets that had once focused solely on dominance began to focus on efficiency, unity, and careful planning. Civilizations that had spent centuries competing now looked for ways to cooperate. Humanity's example had shown that power and progress were not only about weapons and territory. They were about ideas, adaptability, and moral clarity. Admiral Vorin, once the staunchest critic of humanity, finally acknowledged their impact. "We feared them," he said to his colleagues. "We assumed we could control them or ignore them or even destroy them. We were wrong. They have shown us a better way, a path to strength we had never considered." Even the younger delegates, those who had never witnessed humanity's first demonstration, felt a shift in their perception. Humanity had arrived, not to conquer, but to elevate the galaxy. They had rewritten the rules not through war, but through example. Months turned into years, and humanity's influence grew quietly. They remained explorers, voyagers, and pioneers, traveling between stars, learning from other civilizations, and sharing knowledge without coercion. Council species, humbled and inspired, began to adapt their strategies, technologies, and governance in response to humanity's presence. On Earthra, the Council held a special session to honor the new understanding. "We recognize that humanity has changed the galaxy," Ambassador Yara stated, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Not through force, but through ingenuity, courage, and ethical resolve. They have set a new standard for what a species can achieve." Vorin, still wary but respectful, added, "We cannot match them in every way, but we can learn from them. We can aspire to their example." In the human fleet, Commander Kane observed the Council's communications with satisfaction. "They are learning," he said quietly. They will never be the same, that is enough. Lieutenant Mara Chen nodded. Do you think the galaxy is ready? Kane considered the question. The galaxy will never be ready for humans, but it will be ready for what humans teach. That is what matters. We have shown them a new path. They will follow it willingly or reluctantly, but they will follow. And so, a new galactic era began, one in which humanity was not a conqueror nor a subject but a standard, a benchmark of ingenuity, courage, and ethical mastery. Species once consumed by rivalry now cooperated. Fleets once focused on war now explored new possibilities. Technology advanced at a pace previously thought impossible. The Council, once the uncontested authority of the stars, learned humility. They learned that true power was not measured by size, weapons, or control, but by the combination of knowledge, creativity, and ethical restraint. Humanity had arrived quietly, demonstrated mastery without aggression, and left a lasting legacy of innovation, cooperation, and moral clarity. Centuries later, historians would look back on the arrival of humanity as a turning point. Not because humans destroyed empires, but because they inspired the galaxy to become something greater than itself. Planets once at odds now shared knowledge. Civilizations once suspicious now collaborated. And in the center of it all, humanity moved forward, silently guiding by example, never forcing, always showing what could be achieved when strength and wisdom worked together. The humans had arrived, and in their wake, the galaxy would never be the same.